Come softly, darling, come to me, stay. You're my obsession forever and a day.
This is a special holiday bonus episode of Low Profile with Markley Morrison, and today I am being joined by a high-profile artist. She has multiple gold records. People walk around humming the songs she wrote without even realizing it all over the world. And I'm talking about Gretchen Christopher of the band The Fleetwoods. Hi, Gretchen. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Markley. I'm delighted. I can't help but want to share the way we met. It was so unusual. Is that all right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I love to, for recreation, I love to go to garage sales or yard sales, and this summer was no exception. And Voss, my first love, was driving me around, and he said, hey, there's a place selling records. So we stopped there, and this young man came out of the house as we were looking over the records, and I said, do you have any recordings by the Fleetwoods? And I think you said, oh, yes, but they're in the house. I wouldn't put them out here. I'm going to keep those. And
yeah, those were not for sale.
Right. And you told me that, well, maybe I said first, well, I'm Gretchen Christopher of the Fleetwoods.
Yeah, well, I am in the habit of interviewing musicians that I love and look up to, and here was one that fate had presented me with. And I knew that you lived here in Olympia, Washington, and I figured it was only a matter of time before we would run into each other, and I just didn't think it would be in my front yard. So...
And I told you that I had recorded a solo CD, Gretchen's Sweet 16, and you wondered if you could interview me sometime. So here we are. We're finally doing this. However, the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, has sort of cramped our style, and so we're being safe and not doing this face-to-face, but doing it over the telephone. I feel much better about that.
And we're here today, so we of course, we're going to do a Fleetwoods episode with you coming up in the next season of the show. But this is a sort of a teaser for that, and we're talking because you have yet another instant classic, if I say so myself, called Christmas Is You. And we wanted to get that out so our listeners could hear it while it's still Christmas time.
Yes.
And this is the first new Gretchen Christopher song since Sweet 16 was released about 13 years ago. It's an original Christmas carol, and it's also a love song.
I probably wrote it in 1979. I was married at the time, and I had bought a grand piano for here at the Bay where I live, and my husband, who was a teacher, came home, and when I had an opportunity to go back to the piano again, I could not remember what I had just composed. I knew it, it was close, but I couldn't recover it. Eventually I did finish the song, and over the next 7 years, after he and I were divorced, I kept working on the song that sounded like the passage of time. It sounded like, what time is it? And you'd have to hear the chords, so too. And it is on my Gretchen's Sweet 16 album. It is the second to the last song of the 16 songs. And when I played it for a few people, they wanted it. They wanted to record it themselves. And I said, no, I'm saving it for myself and to record for a solo CD or solo album.
Yeah, and I think this song in particular, it's a it's a very appropriate time for it to come out this year, because just being with someone that you care so much about is a huge gift, especially this year.
Even if it's over the phone. I mean, boy, that has been so important to me. When my first love, Voss, who's back in my life after 38 years apart, and now we've been together 23, not living together, that's the secret of our success.
Uh-huh.
But we get together on weekends, and I always say, now when you get home, please call me, because it's a good half hour, 40-minute drive for him to get back to the lake that he lives on. And that's so important to me. And sometimes we talk at length, and sometimes we don't, but just knowing that he's safe, and made the trip home on these wintry, early dark nights.
And your story with him is the story of your Gretchen Sweet 16 album, which we'll talk about at length next time we get together.
Okay. And
I just wanted to make sure that people got to hear this wonderful new song. I'm really looking forward to our long form interview that's coming up for next season as well.
I am too. Well, how the recording of this came about, I told you how the writing of it came about, but how the recording came about, I was in Hollywood recording. By the way, the Fleetwoods' last hit was Good Night, My Love.
Good night, my love. Good night. Pleasant dreams and sleep tight, my love. Sleep tight. May tomorrow be sunny and bright and bring you closer to me.
And the co-writer of that, George Mottola, died, and somehow his partner in publishing called me for some reason. I asked if there was going to be music, and she said, no, the children haven't planned any music for the celebration of his life. And I thought that was horrible. For someone whose life is in music and you don't include their music? And so I told her that I would be willing to sing just to celebrate his life. I would sing Good Night, My Love, a cappella, on the ship or boat that was taking his ashes to sea. So that did indeed happen. Afterwards, this songwriter-producer cornered me and said, I want you to record my song. Well, I told him at one point in a conversation that my mother had said she wished she had a Christmas album. And I just said that in passing. Well, then he called me up and he reminded me of that, and he said, don't you want to record this Christmas album? And he said, I've got all the tracks, and I've got the recording session set up, and you could come over and record it at my apartment. And I said, no, for many times. And then I felt that he was just trying to get close to me. But I finally did, I did record it with his setup, pre-recorded tracks. And I did present it to Mom and Dad for Christmas. I call it Christmas for Mom and Dad. And I attached to the end of it the recording that you hear, which was not done at Sterling's place. I had done that in a studio. I dug that up now for release now because I can't go into a studio now because of the pandemic. In fact, I did a live show celebrating my 20th leap year birthday. I did that this February 29th, and we packed the place, And that was marvelous. And then everything was shut down because coronavirus.
Right after that, yeah.
Yeah, right after that. And actually a video was done of that, but there were a lot of mistakes. The volume isn't there. And I want very much to go into a good professional studio and see what they can do to bring up the volume and stuff. But I haven't been able to. And that's kind of heartbreaking. So I don't have my own studio here because I was going to, and then I decided, my gosh, I've written the songs, I've arranged them, I am doing the performance of them. I can't also be watching the VU meter to see if I'm pegging.
It's a lovely recording, and I really like the arrangements on there. So, yeah, I guess I'd like to now introduce that song. This is Gretchen Christopher's original timeless classic, and it's called Christmas Is You.
Christmas is near, soon you'll be here. Christmas is anytime I'm with you. Christmas like wine, spirits so fine, sipped from the cup of love, filled by you. All those years spent, no one ever sent a gift half so dear to me as just my knowing you. Christmas is here. Now you are near, wise man, my Prince of Peace. Christmas, Christmas is you. Christmas is you. Christmas is you.
Well, Gretchen, thanks again for joining me today on Low Profile, and I think the listeners are in for a real treat when we learn more about your storied music career next year.
Thank you, Mark Lee. What a wonderful thing that we met.
For more information about Gretchen Christopher and her album, Gretchen's Sweet 16, which for a limited time includes the download of Christmas Is You, you can visit GretchenChristopher.com, GoldCupMusic.com, or TheFleetwoods.com. If you like this program and want to hear more episodes, you can find the previous 3 seasons at LowProfilePodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and happy holidays! Gretchen wanted me to remind you that you can hear sound clips and order a signed copy of the 16-track CD, Sweet 16, with a 16-page booklet of photos and liner notes, all for the special holiday price of just sweet $16, with free shipping and tax, and receive a free download of the MP3 version of Christmas Is You, plus a signed greeting card with love from Gretchen Christopher. Go to goldcupmusic.com for sound clips, fun info, and the order form. Happy New Year.